Hi there, everyone. It is, what day is it? Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday going on Thursday. Not sure. Again, morning show will do that to you. But nice to be with you here on this Wednesday evening bonus broadcast tonight. We'll probably do another one tomorrow. And the reason why is we've got that severe weather chance that's moving in here Friday evening. I just want to kind of bring us all up to speed in terms of what we've got in store for us, what the potentials are, what we don't know at this point, and what we do know so that you guys can go ahead and make some plans because a lot of people have Friday evening plans, right? You're getting ready to kick off the weekend, and we're going to be on the warm side on Friday. It's going to feel like summertime. So there's that. And there's a lot on social media about it as well. So I want to dispel the people that are screaming, this is the end of the world, and, bring some truth to the people that are actually doing it right. And hopefully we are one of those that are doing it right. So there's that. Let me bring up our maps real quick. I'll go tiny in the corner if that's okay. Probably better for everyone if I go tiny in the corner. And let's say hi to our early birds. This is a bonus broadcast for our sponsors, but guys, help them out if you can. They're all amazing. They're all local to Northwest Indiana, and they all do amazing work. FBIbuildings.com if you need a pole barn constructed or one renovated. Meals on Wheels of Northwest Indiana. If you know someone in need, or perhaps you're in need of meals, they do $5.99 each meal. They deliver Monday through Friday hot meals to the door. And there's no financial or age requirements for that. PSA, that's our public service adjusters. It's publicserviceadjusting.com. I've had so many of you ask me about them because you just don't know what it is, and you know that you've heard things about insurance. If you have an insurance claim, go to them first, publicserviceadjusting.com. They'll come out, take pictures, submit everything to your insurance company, and they'll get you more money than you'd get if you just went through your slow insurance company, publicserviceadjusting.com. TigerPlumbing.net, the place to go if you need a Northwest Indiana plumber. They're amazing. Come out for free. Who does that nowadays? Minogue.life for all your life insurance. Medicare, Medicaid questions. Michael is an expert in that field. If you've got a plan, you may not be getting all the benefits out of it. He'd be happy to sit down with you for free and go over everything. Minogue.life. Kate Cusack for Ruoff Mortgage. We thank her for being a sponsor. She joined us a couple weeks ago during some winter weather that we had. She was just awesome. Kate, if you're looking for a new home, which it's springtime, I mean, it's coming, right? Those new homes are going to be on the market soon. I know they're getting them all prepared. So you want to be ready so you can jump on your dream home if that's the case. Or maybe you just want to refinance. She can help you do that too as rates come down. Kate Cusack, Home Loan Girl on Facebook. And finally, last but not least, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. They've been a sponsor of ours now we are going on almost 3 years. That is crazy. We love them. They love us. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso if you're looking for a new car, especially those cool Jeeps. All right, early birds. We've got Jeff with us this evening. Good evening to you, Jeff. Hope everything's going well. Mary, hope you're having a good week as well. Darlene, hello on our YouTube channel. Justin, thanks for helping me out with that. I've got a couple tweaks to software here, so everything appears to be working okay. Aaron's with us. Good evening to you, Aaron. Hi, Susan. Thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel. Junie's here as well. Hi, Junie, Kathy, and Lisa. Lisa, you're absolutely welcome. JP, absolutely. Isaac's with us on our YouTube channel. Thanks for being with us here tonight, Isaac. Nestor as well. Hi, Nestor. Hope everything's going well. Sherry, Deb, Ruth. We've got Jeff as well, and Maxwell talking about the lunar eclipse. Yeah, lunar eclipse is going to be pretty cool. It's late at night, right? It's after most of us go to bed, but again, that kicks off tomorrow. We're about 20 some hours away from a full moon. So this is going to be a cool one where the Earth's shadow passes over the moon tomorrow. It's actually pretty neat. It's not like the total eclipse, but it certainly is on the cool side of things. So there's that. All right. And I see Paul is on, Deb is on, and Annette have joined us here. Hello to you guys. Thanks for joining us on our Facebook page. Okay. Let's dive into some coverage, shall we? Here's what we're dealing with. There is a vigorous low pressure system. This is a big system out in the West Coast right now, and it's hitting California hard. Now, there's a couple of good things about this. The good thing about this storm system for out in California is that they're getting some late winter season rain and mountain snow. All right, that's the last thing California and the West Coast needs is another kind of dry end to the winter. They had a lot of snow and some rain early on in the winter. Then they went kind of dry, and they need some rain out there, and they're getting it. And this is great news going into spring and summer for them, where they typically don't get rain. Everything goes north, outside of the monsoon season, which starts in June. But overall, this is great for them in terms of the rain. The bad part is there's thunderstorms, and there's really heavy rain, and there's really heavy mountain snow with this. But you can see where that low pressure is just off the coast of California. You get this feeder band kind of coming in, and that's where the storms are over San Francisco right now. Those will push down into LA. tonight into tomorrow. San Diego going to get some heavy rain from this as well. But again, this is doing wonders for the Sierra Nevadas, where they're expecting feet of snow from this. For us, you can kind of see this pattern, kind of what we're in here, where you've got everything coming down in the West Coast, so everything kind of goes up out east. Remember, it is literally a teeter-totter in the country most of the time. It's either flat and no one's using that teeter-totter. I may have had a green bean. Sorry. We had dinner not too long ago. It's the worst case scenario. Anyway, it's literally a teeter-totter in the country in terms of the jet stream. All right. Either no one's on it and you have a zonal flow, everything goes west to east real fast, or one side's down and one side's up. So you have a trough on one side, ridge on the other. And what we experienced for much of January, February was a ridge in the west, right? And we were sitting on the teeter-totter out east. So we had a big trough, and that's why the cold air kept coming, and we just didn't warm up, right? We didn't have any warm days. And now we hit March, and it started kind of where no one was sitting on the teeter-totter. Everything was west to east, so we were mild compared to where we've been. But now we're at the point where the west is down and the east is up, and so you can see that flow with the trough, and then you've got a bit of a ridge in the eastern half of the country. This spells severe weather across the plain states, especially when you have that jet cutting through the middle of the country. And it also spells a warm-up for us, and that's why we've been on the milder side of things. So it's this system out west that we've got eyes on. I'm going to show you the big 50,000-foot view of kind of where this goes. So there's our storm system, heavy snow, not just for the Sierra Nevadas, but the Wasatch as well. All the Rockies are going to get a good blanket of snow from this. Heavy rains across portions of Arizona and the desert Southwest. Great news for all those locations. They are going to have some flooding, though. And then watch how this thing comes out of the Rockies, kind of jumps the Rockies, and then forms a deep low on the eastern side of the plains. It'll get some Gulf of Mexico moisture going. There's also a really strong jet streak coming in it, so the jet stream is in play. There's 100 to 120 mile per hour winds up above us, not here locally, but it will be above us locally, but coming through Kansas, and that's just going to create lots of uplift. And so these storms that are going to develop with this strong low as it really gets going Friday afternoon, these storms are going to quickly go severe. And the wind potential with this, at least in terms of wind damage from thunderstorms and from non-thunderstorms, is pretty high from this because there's so much wind energy with this system in general with aid from the jet stream up above, right? So on top of that, we've got a severe setup because we'll have nice warm air. We'll have pretty decent dew points for this time of year or humidity that will be coming north into the system as well. That combined with just the amount of shear that we have with this, which is churning of winds with height, is going to produce what I think is going to be just a real decent severe weather event that's going to happen quickly off to our south and the west on Friday. All right, and the consensus is there with that, and we'll go over some of the modeling. But those storms will develop, and I mean, kind of what we've been thinking all week long. We talked about it on our Sunday Region Weather Live, and I wasn't convinced that this would be a local severe weather threat because I wasn't sure it was going to hold together, right? Now we have more model data, and now we can make a reasonable forecast where instead of jumping to conclusions and drawing red all over a map and tweeting it out, we can actually give you a forecast where, okay, this is pretty much how it's going to happen. We have a good idea for it. So now looking at it, we're still expecting the same setup where storms develop. They get going, they go severe quickly from Missouri down towards Arkansas, even up towards Iowa, and then they'll go through Illinois and they'll come our way. And the big question is, do they hold together? That's been the question all week. And I'll show you we're getting some high-res modeling now. We'll have a better suite of modeling tomorrow to look at, just to see, what the computers are thinking, how this is going to evolve. Doesn't mean any one of them are true, but it gives us a good idea of how these storms are going to behave. So then that rolls through. And I think it rolls through pretty quickly. These things aren't going to linger. They're going to be in and out of here Friday night and Saturday morning. Again, we'll fine tune that timing here in a second. And then that's out of here. And we may get some more rain on the backside. The front will be going through dry on Saturday. We're still going to have a nice warm day on Saturday before the front hits. But we're going to have thunderstorms that develop along the front Saturday. And we may get some rain off of that on the backside. But in terms of severe threat, I think most of that would be east of us on Saturday with that heavy rain potential. But I mentioned it earlier in our Facebook post on our region weather page, we're going to have wind and we're going to have non-thunderstorm wind. So just windy conditions, both Friday and Saturday from this powerful low. So there's really two things that we're concerned with the system. One of them is the severe weather threat Friday night into early Saturday morning hours. And then the other one is going to be the wind potential, both Friday and Saturday from just wind gusts in general because it's a strong low, much like we experienced a couple weeks ago. All right. And then once those two things move out, yep, you see it there. Cold air moves in briefly on Sunday, and yes, there's a chance of a few snowflakes. I'm not too concerned about it, but this system goes up in the Canadian Maritimes, and boy, does it just continue to crank up towards the Hudson Bay. So big system there. All right, so diving into the details now, I want to get a little bit more detail in terms of the forecast, and then at the end of this, we'll answer your questions as we always do. But you can see this is Storm Prediction Center. They highlighted this 5 days out that there would be a good potential for severe weather with this. We agreed. And then you can see what we're dealing with now. Again, this is for Friday with an enhanced risk or a 3 out of 5 as of now from Illinois down towards Mississippi. Notice where we kind of fall in that. They have a slight risk for us. And again, I'm not a huge fan of these maps. I don't like the lines on it. Some people are like, oh, we're only a 2 out of 5 or we're a 1 out of 5. It doesn't mean you can't get severe weather outside the bullseye. But what I look for when I look at these Storm Prediction Center maps is trend. Just look at the trend. Don't worry about exactly where the lines are, but that trend is for the storms to be most severe down towards our south and west, all right? And then you can see how the lines gradually fade as it goes north and east. That means those storms will be in the weakening phase. But the big question is, how strong are they when they get here? So let's go into our first really look at this with high-res data. Again, we'll have more tomorrow as the high-res models don't go out that far, right? Because there's a lot of information, a lot of details in them. But this is the one that I want to show you tonight, which is the NAM Nest, all right? And in terms of the forecast, here's your storms. This is Friday now. This is Friday afternoon. This is 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. There are big storms developing with this strong low. I mean, there's lots of wind energy in this, but just look at it swirling around with that strong low, and you get these storms that erupt where that lift and everything comes together. There'll be a dry line involved in this as well that's going to initiate those storms. Pretty impressive, but this is going to be the line of storms. My main concern with it is wind damage. Again, there's already going to be a howling wind on the surface. There's going to be a howling wind up in the atmosphere. And as these storms go up into that, you can bring some of that jet energy down. I think these things are going to just blast wind out of them. I mean, we could see 80, 90 mile per hour wind gusts with these storms in portions of Iowa, and then especially Missouri, where you see it kind of bowing out where that low is just off towards the west, and you get that curvature of the actual frontal boundary and the dry line. So that's what we're looking at there. And then watch how fast this line moves. I mean, we're talking 2 hours. It's moving through Missouri into Illinois. And then this is not looking good, at least on the modeling. This would be a QLCS line that would be producing spin-up tornadoes within it, which I could see. Shear is going to be off the charts. And so what the NAM Nest is doing is it's developing these storms. These would be severe with wind damage, but they wouldn't be mature enough to produce tornadoes yet, at least initially on the modeling. And then as soon as these things get to height and get to strength to be able to produce tornadoes, I mean, this is where it really lights up in southwestern areas of Illinois. And this is going to hit fast. These things will probably be moving 60, my guess is 60 to 70 miles per hour movement on top of that. So everything just screams wind damage with these storms to me. And then as we go into Friday night, this is now when you're out, you know, hanging out at a restaurant late at night, 10, 11 o'clock, these storms will be coming in from the west. And then we're talking midnight into 1, 2 through northwest Indiana. All right. But notice how they weaken. They're real strong in Illinois, and then they start to weaken as they come in. But boy, the NAM Nest does not weaken them by much. So, you know, we do have a wind damage potential from these if this model holds true. Now, don't take this for truth, okay? Please don't watch this forecast and then don't watch anything tomorrow. Don't get any information on Friday and say, well, they were supposed to hit at 11 o'clock and they were supposed to be bad, right? This is one take. This is one solution, right? We look at all the different solutions, and then as meteorologists, we say, oh, that doesn't look right, or last time this happened, or from my experience of forecasting, that's not usually how it goes. Those are the tweaks that we put on these forecasts, all right? And there's going to be more solutions that come out. They're all going to be different, so don't take this as truth. We look at this for trend at this point, all right? Because we're still 2 days out, and it's even hard day of to predict where these storms are going to develop and how they develop and where they go. But this will give us a pretty good idea, and I do like the look for it with strong low pressure coming in and then this initial line that just rolls east and actually northeast. And it will be moving fast. So a couple takeaways from it. I'll show you a couple more things and we'll answer questions. But a couple takeaways from this, at least initially, is that This is going to move in quickly Friday evening or Friday night, okay, late night. So if you have early evening plans, I still think we look good. We're going to get into the 70s on Friday. It's going to feel like summer. So everyone's going to be out, doing their thing. And you should be too, right? Because it's going to be beautiful outside. And it's really going to be our first really nice day. I think real summer-like kind of feel today because there's going to be a little humidity around as well. It's going to be the first day that it's going to be like that. So, and it's Friday. So there's that, okay? But these things are going to move in quick. So we're probably, if you're unaware or you're not keeping an eye on your radar, you're going to be out, and then all of a sudden these storms are going to fly in here. And that's my concern, is how fast they're going to move in and move out. And if we've got a wind damage potential and you're not paying attention, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, the sky's getting dark and I see lightning, that's going to be on us before we know it. So I just want to make sure we're ready to go and that we're weather aware on Friday evening into Friday night, depending on what your plans are. Okay, I don't want anyone to be caught outside or anything in this with that wind damage potential, which to me is, I'm very confident saying these storms would produce wind damage, all right? And that's unusual to be this confident 2 days out. All right, so that's the first takeaway. Second takeaway is that just given how fast these things are going, they're going to be moving into a more stable environment. Our environment's not going to be completely stable, but they'll be moving into a better environment to kind of weaken them. But given the fact that they're moving so fast and there's so much jet energy with this, I kind of have a hunch that they're going to make it here and they're going to be severe. All right, just because of how fast they're moving. I don't think they're going to have enough time to weaken as they're moving in. I think it'll take until they get eastern Indiana and the southwest lower Michigan before they really start to weaken. So I do think we'll have some decent wind producing thunderstorms that move through. Okay, tornado potential, I'm not too sold on it right now, but again, these lines can behave on their own and cause problems. So that's kind of what I'm looking at least here on this Wednesday evening for the Friday evening storms. Okay, 2 days out. And that may change tomorrow. We'll see. All right, a couple things I want to look at in terms of, if you're a weather geek like me, I'll show you a couple things that we're watching. So one of the things we look for is CAPE. This is convective available potential energy. It shows how much energy the atmosphere has. Basically, if you're going to have severe weather, you usually want a number over 500 kilograms per joule squared, whatever that is. Gosh, it's been a while. Joules per kilogram squared, that's what it is. And our numbers are going to be just fine. Okay, so what we're looking for is anything in purple. The blue would really support severe thunderstorms at this point. And notice how as this comes in, there's this little sliver of some high CAPE air that moves in here. So I'm not too worried about not having enough CAPE. A couple other things to show you here. Actually, this is the last thing I'll show you. The shear is going to be off the charts. Okay, don't let that scare you. There's shear a lot of times during thunderstorm events. And this is going to be not just directional shear, but some speed shear as well. But when we talk directional shear, the wind here at the surface is going to be coming from the south, okay? So when you go outside, the wind is hitting you in the face from the south. But as you go up into the sky, it's not coming from the south. It'll be coming more out of the west, all right? And so that air, as it's coming this way, has to eventually shift to the west, right? It doesn't just churn automatically at 2 levels. And so it eventually churns, and that churning effect is what we call shear, right? It's directional shear. And why is that important? Who cares if the wind's turning as you go up? Well, the reason why we care that the wind's turning as you go up is because clouds and thunderstorms are growing up, right? They're lifting and getting bigger as they develop. And they can tap into that churning of the wind as it goes up, if that makes sense. And so that cloud or thunderstorm as it goes up can twist, and that's how you get your rotating thunderstorms with that change in the wind direction. With height, you can also have speed shear, which is when you have wind that's not as strong at the surface and much stronger up above, and that can create a rolling effect to the atmosphere. So all these shear numbers, when you hear them, I want you to know what they mean. Again, I do weather schools with the kids all the time. I'm not usually teaching shear to the preschoolers unless it's nap time. But some of the high school students that I visit, shear is something we can talk about, and they understand it. So I just want to make sure you guys understand what shear is when you hear it. And so that's going to be off the charts because we've got real strong winds at the surface, real strong winds aloft from different directions. So that'll certainly be that way. But one of the other things we want to look at is significant tornado parameters. So this takes together a bunch of different parameters that basically give us a good sense of if there is a tornado threat or not. And you can see initially when these storms pop, again, this is modeling, it's not truth, but when these storms pop, notice how that initial line doesn't get going with a big tornado threat. It's really just a damaging wind threat in Iowa. But once this thing hits Illinois, remember I said once these storms get mature, there's a really good chance that they're going to rotate as they get into Illinois. And there's your high numbers on the significant parameter for tornadoes. And the notice that comes in here, I mean, this is what we're battling here. Everything weakening as it moves in, but how strong is it when it moves in? I'm not overly impressed with the tornado threat from this, but I am impressed with the wind damage threat. And I have a hunch that these are going to hold together as they move into Northwest Indiana Friday night and early Saturday morning. And it would be a wind damage threat that I would be concerned with, in addition to a real heavy downpour all of a sudden, thunder and lightning, and the fast movement. But it's the wind that I am concerned with for Friday night. Okay, so that's all I have for you here tonight. I mean, this is an early look at kind of what we've got going on in terms of the storm potential for this. It's never a guarantee in the weather world. I've been in this position before where everything looks great on the modeling and it's like, oh, this is definitely going to happen, just a matter of when and how big. And I've seen these things fall apart before. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I go by feeling a lot of times in the meteorology world, from the experience of forecasting for 16 years now, I think. And I have a feeling that these are going to produce some wind damage when they move through. All right. But they could weaken before they move in. But what we'll be staring at, again, on Friday on the radar, so I want to make sure you guys are weather aware as you head out Friday evening. What we'll be staring at is a vigorous-looking line that's going to be coming in from Illinois. But keep in mind, there is going to be some weakening to it as it's moving in. So you're probably going to see, and again, we'll talk about this next few nights, you're probably going to see tornado warnings in Illinois, and we're going to say, oh, man, all these tornado warnings are coming our way. Keep in mind, our atmosphere on Friday is going to be structured a little bit differently than they're going to be structured back in Illinois, okay? So that's where the big tornado threat is. Ours isn't zero, but it's not as high. So I don't want us to all, get scared and get worried when we see the Illinois stuff coming in, but it's something we'll have to keep an eye on, okay? And I will be with you here on Friday night. It's not a night where I have to go to bed and do the morning show. So I'll be here to walk us through those storms as they move through, okay? Just so you know that. All right, so Kathy asked a good question. Are you thinking some hail along with the winds? Kathy, yeah, there could be some hail with this, especially the more developed storms. I don't think hail is going to be the big threat, though. I see it be more the winds with this as well. Okay. Yeah, Melissa, certainly possible. Yeah. Donna asks, what's a good time to watch the moon eclipse? Well, we're going to have some high clouds coming in, Donna, but we should have okay viewing for it. And again, the time to watch is going to be after midnight. I think it starts at like 12:36 Central Time, where we can start to see the Earth's shadow go on the moon. And then anytime, I would say between 1:30 and 4 o'clock. I don't have the exact times. They're written down at work because I have a graphic at work. But any time between like 1 and 4 a.m. would be a good time to head on out. Again, it'll be a full moon, total lunar eclipse, which means the Earth's shadow passes over the moon completely. It doesn't take up half of it, takes it complete. So the moon, you can still see it. It's just got a shadow on it. So it'll be kind of like a dark brown color, and then it goes away. It's actually pretty cool. I'm not, some of these things, to be honest, I tell you, it's not worth your time. Like some of the meteor showers, it's like, well, if you like sitting outside for 6 hours, but this one's actually pretty neat. It really is. So it'll be worth your time. All right. Jeff, that's a good question. I think we will. I would almost guarantee an advisory, a wind advisory, but I think we will be high enough on Saturday with that wind to have a high wind warning, at least somewhere around Northwest Indiana, Illinois, somewhere around Lake Michigan, because that's where the strongest winds are going to be. Let me show you the winds real quick. We're not going to be able to get to Saturday on here, but I will show you. Let me stop this so it doesn't go all over the place. I will show you kind of the wind field with this. So here's Friday as the winds are coming in. I mean, this is general wind. This is not thunderstorm wind out ahead of it. So we would have 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts likely Friday evening as you're out to dinner, okay, out in advance of these storms. So you'll know something's coming. You'll say, man, it's really windy and it's really warm still, and it's Friday night. And then these winds right here that you see, you see 50, 60 in here, those are with the thunderstorms. Some of these peaks, I mean, this is, again, just modeling, but look at some of these numbers. I mean, this is coming in at 70 miles per hour in terms of wind speeds with some of these thunderstorms. And I could see that. I could see it going higher than that. But notice how that collects. And then on the backside of this, these winds will whip up and move in on Saturday. So there's that. Okay. I can actually show you here. Let's look at the wind real quick. I haven't looked at the 12Z today because I'm a 0Z person working the mornings. Let's go back to 12Z. And here we go. So here's our wind Friday night. So there's your 40-mile-per-hour gusts. and then as the low heads by on the back side of it, we would still have a warm wind here before it turns colder Saturday night. But Saturday, you can see easily we've got gusts over 50 on the modeling. So I could totally see that. I could see gusts over 55. We're not going to go too crazy and say 55 yet, but it is going to be windy. And so a couple things you can do now. I mean, that's a great question. A couple things that we can do now is if you've got items in your yard that blow around, I mean, just get them in a shed, get them in the garage, whatever it is. Just take care of that kind of stuff. Um, I mean, I'm trying to think of like holiday decorations are down unless you're us and you still have lights on the bushes. I'll get them down at some point. It just hasn't been warm enough. But anyway, whatever you have, maybe you brought the deck furniture out, just make sure you take care of that stuff before all this wind comes as we go. Okay. Melissa, hopefully we answered that. Yeah, we'll have gusts to 40 out of the south on Friday, and then Saturday, they'll still be out of the south before they switch. They're going to shift later in the day. Let me show that to you real quick. That way you guys can kind of understand how that's going to go. So here's our southeast to south wind Friday. So here's Friday evening, Friday night. These are sustained numbers. Okay, these are not gusts. Remember, gusts to 40 here. But south wind Friday night. Line of storms goes through, and we still have a strong south wind Saturday. And then eventually it'll shift Saturday evening, Saturday night. Right there's the front. So the front doesn't go by till Saturday evening. So we're going to have another nice day on Saturday. But we'll go from southwest wind Saturday to northwest wind pretty fast. But it'll start to weaken on Sunday. It'll be breezy Sunday, but not completely out of control. So that's what we're dealing with wind-wise. Okay. Let's see. Any other questions? We'll kind of let this play so you guys see how this evolves. Maxwell asks, could Lake Michigan weaken the storm? Maxwell, that's a good point. I don't think it would do it quick enough for us to notice. But this time of year, I mean, that's a really good point. We see that every spring where thunderstorms will come in, and Lake Michigan, remember, is a big dome of cold air at this point, and it's heavy and dense, and so it is low down to the ground. So if we get anything elevated, Maxwell, it doesn't care about that cold air. Might even add to the instability in some cases, but with this one, I mean, these storms are going to be moving in too quickly. I don't think they'll be impacted by it. I think they will if they go out over the water, if that makes sense, but we're not concerned about that. We're concerned about, on land here in Northwest Indiana. And I think also with the direction they're coming in from the southwest, that would negate any Lake Michigan cooling, especially with a strong south wind. It's going to keep that dome of cold air out over the lake. So I think these storms, as they go out over the lake, they could certainly weaken and just become heavy rain events out over Lake Michigan. But for us here locally, I don't think that'll be the case. If we had a lighter wind around the region and that cold air was coming in kind of like a lake breeze, I could see that, but we don't. It'll negate that. But great call. Kathy asks, I think it's safe to say we could put the snowblower away. Kathy, that's tough. We can still get snow from here on out. That's the problem. I don't see anything next 10 to 15 days that screams snowstorm. In fact, I think we go back to mild air. We'll get a little cool down out ahead of another system that looks similar to this next week. And then I think we have another one after that where we get these warm ups and then a day of cold and then we're back to the warm. So I don't see it for the next, 10 to 12 days. So that puts us into March 24th territory. After that, I can't tell. We just don't know. Later on this month, do we turn colder? Do we get one more hit of snow? I mean, I would probably say no, given the way this winter's gone, but I would just keep it handy just in case. Never know. JP, we're not going to get the dry line here. I'm not worried about the dry line here. We'll get the dry slot from the storm system. That's what moves in after the line of storms. So we should have a pretty nice start on Saturday with warm conditions and the low to our west. But the dry line is what's going to initiate these storms to develop in Kansas and Iowa, and then back towards Oklahoma as well. I didn't mean to say Iowa. I meant to say Oklahoma. But yeah, that's what's going to kick things off. Maxwell, that's a good question. I got asked that several times today, one by a coworker and one on a private message, if this could be a derecho. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to last long enough on the ground. And I think as it heads, if it held together Indiana, the whole state into Ohio, then sure, right, we would have enough mileage on it. But I don't think it's going to last far enough. But it's going to act like a derecho. It really is. I mean, this is going to be packing a punch. I think there'll be a nice kind of roll cloud with it as it moves in, a good shelf cloud as it moves in. And this thing's going to be screaming east, all right? There's not going to be time to track this thing, one spot too long. It'll be moving pretty fast for sure. Kathy, you're welcome. All right, guys. I think that's about it. You guys asked some great questions tonight. Thank you for that. So what we'll do, here's what we'll do. I'm doing this again tomorrow night around the same time, and then we'll be with you on Friday to get you through this whole line as we, welcome in some spring type weather around here. But big storm system for sure. This is what we're going to be watching in terms of, over the course of the spring, a severe weather threat with each one of these systems. We're here. We're in spring severe weather season now. It really seems like it pattern wise. So something we're going to be obviously on as we go throughout the spring, saying goodbye to the winter, saying hello to the spring stuff. All right, guys. Aaron, you're welcome. Thank you for your kind words. You guys get some sleep here tonight. And we'll do this all over again tomorrow. Okay. Thanks for joining me tonight. And you guys take care. Have a wonderful Thursday tomorrow. We're warming up even to the lakeshore tomorrow. So it should be a pretty nice day. And Friday looks great too until these storms hit late at night. All right. Thanks for joining me. We'll talk to you tomorrow.